Making systems and equipment more efficient, more economical, and easier to use is what Human Factors is all about. This means knowing something about people, Bell System people and customers, what they can do physically, how they respond to things, how they feel about them. At Bell Labs, Human Factors work is nothing new. Back in 1947, Bell Labs organized the first industrial Human Factors laboratory anywhere. Among its contributions was the size, spacing, and arrangement of the buttons in the touch-tone telephone pad. As life in the Bell System communications network became more complex, and as the number of services increased, Human Factors work became increasingly important. Today, the emphasis on Human Factors is greater than ever before. The work being done in some Bell Labs departments supports development of systems and equipment used by Bell System operating companies.
Human Factors is the art and science of making technology usable by people. And we need it in the Bell System today because telephone technology is becoming ever increasingly complex.
We are experiencing a great deal of change. Change in where people live, change in their calling patterns, an increase in night calls, and an increase in things like data transmission. These changes and this growth have heightened the need for us to make predictions about where we need telephone circuits and how many circuits we need. New methods have been developed which help make these predictions more accurate. These new methods, however, consume much more information than the old methods, and in turn, they produce much more information. If you have all of this potential information, our user doesn't need it all, they only need some piece of it, maybe this much. And that's where Human Factors comes into the picture. We are continually developing methods that allow us to present them with the right amount of information in the right format at the right time.
Service representatives, assignment clerks, switching technicians, and virtually every other job classification in the Bell System is affected in some way or another by computer technology.
Operation centers are designed around a set of operating company activities. Some centers might include service provisioning for the customers. Others address maintenance of network and equipment. When we design an operations center, we have to understand the objectives of the organization as well as the functions being performed by the clerical, craft, and supervisory personnel. This involves observing traditional operations, how people do their jobs, and identifying existing problems. In this way, human factor principles are applied to the design and development of operations, software products, and the environment. Routines that are boring are assigned to machines, computers, freeing people to do tasks that involve human judgment.
Simply fitting technology into work operations, however, is not enough. We in Bell Laboratories must also be concerned about the quality of work life produced by the systems which we deliver to the Bell operating companies.
The writer's workbench is designed to help anyone who writes, whether they're writing memos or manuals. In the Bell System, we have billions of pages of written communication. What we've done is look at the tasks involved and isolate those that can be done easily by a computer, checking things like spelling, correct word usage, punctuation, freeing up the writer to concentrate on the kinds of things that computers can't look at, like content and organization. We found from our follow-up user surveys that the writer's workbench can be used to produce clearer and better documents in a shorter period of time. And it also makes the job of writing more enjoyable.
We're involved in human factors activities which contribute to a range of developments, including software design all the way to hand tool design. We're most interested in ease of use of equipment for Bell System craftspeople, and with the proportion of women in traditionally male jobs changing, we're very conscious of designing things for women and for men to use. We're most interested in this now because the makeup of our workforce is changing, and the reach characteristics and the upper torso strength characteristics are much different for the new population of craftspeople that we're getting now and the population that we expect in the years to come.
And what's the payoff from all of this? The payoff is improved productivity, a better quality of work life for our employees, and improved Bell system operations generally.
In other Bell Labs departments, the human factors focus is on the needs of Bell system customers.
The challenge of human factors work, or at least the challenge of the people in my department, is to design services for customers such that they are easy to access, and once they access them, that they fulfill a need, a useful need.
The service we're looking at now is advanced calling. Advanced calling allows a customer to record a message to be delivered at a later time. To use advanced calling, all the customer needs to do is dial *41. The voice storage system does the rest.
When you hear the tone, please record your message.
Joe, this is
The customer doesn't need to know anything about how the service works. The system tells the customer everything that he or she needs to do to set up the call.
All right, now these sound like useful services. We had to find out if in actual practice they were useful services. How do you design them to be useful? And on top of that, how do you then access the service simply?
The training time of the Dimension system was running too long, an hour or two per group, and costing both the customer and the Bell system too much money. Human factors laboratory studies showed that it was better to train users to use the instruction card rather than to train them to use all of the procedures in the initial training session. As a result of this human factors work in training, the training time for station users was cut in half. This represents a potential saving of several $1 million per year to the operating companies.
Now, what about, how do you judge whether a service is good? I mean, or whether it was good human factors work, which is probably the more basic question there. Well, there, I would say the bottom line for us is customer satisfaction.
When we began designing a telephone to fit into the vehicle, we found we could not just take the telephone off our desk and place it on the dashboard of the car. That isn't going to work. It's not going to satisfy the needs of the customer who wants to use a telephone in a moving vehicle. We found that we had to change the physical shape of the telephone to fit into the vehicular environment. We also found we had to change the calling procedures, the methods that the customer uses to place the call. We found that we needed to get into the laboratory environment to put real people in front of telephones with our procedures, all of our procedures, try them out, find out which is the best, most convenient for them to use. Which do they make the fewest mistakes with? Which do they remember the easiest? We conducted many of these studies. Then we moved into the vehicle and repeated these studies with the best procedures. As a result, we found many paying customers who find the service invaluable to their business, their daily activities.
There are more than 400 human factors activities in progress at Bell Laboratories. All of these activities are aimed at one target: making systems and equipment more efficient, more economical, and easier for people to use. Clearly, human factors research and engineering will continue to work in behalf of people, the jobs they do, the environment in which they live and work, and the services they use.